Be still and know that I am God. That is the first thing that comes to my mind upon seeing Gian Matteo's masterpiece, Astronomer Copernicus, or Conversations with God. Painted in 1873, it portrays the Polish astronomer Nicholas Copernicus abandoning his mortal, man-made instruments and merely listening to God. For who requires fallible instruments to measure the unknowable, when one can ask the Creator of all? Be still and know that I am God. Copernicus is alone on this roof. His back is to the city that would eventually, for all he knew, turn on the young man and censor him and his teachings. The same city that claimed to worship the same God that Copernicus is now in dialogue with. But he would stay true to his faith, for he had heard God's voice. Though he would come into friction with the church, he was a friend of God. Copernicus had to separate himself from the noise and from the clamor of life and naysayers in order to seek Christ's presence, much as how Christ went further off to pray with his Father in the Garden of Gethsemane. Be still and know that I am God. Copernicus, in turn, is silent in order to hear the grand architect of the cosmos. He knows he is but a tool to be used to bring glory to the Creator, come what may. Copernicus' will would not be done, but God's. After that fateful night, did he doubt if it was indeed the voice of the Creator? Would his mind travel back to that night, alone, and yet not alone, on that roof? As he never recanted, he must have been sure it was indeed truth that he was hearing. But how did he come to be so certain, with so much potentially on the line? It was because he recognized the hand that created the handiwork he had so often admired. That is why he is at peace on that roof. For if you study the paintings of an artist, you will come to be able to recognize anything that artist does, indeed may even be able to get inside his head and understand him as a person. So too does this astronomer recognize the one who created the stars and the planets he had so often admired. Because that which is true and perfect and holy must needs always prevail, despite the darkness and hate that will always attempt to quell it. Of course, these things, trials, a chance to recant, execution, history tells us they did not come to pass. Yet they did. On that night, on the roof, in Copernicus's mind, those events occurred and were surrendered to. Eventually, Copernicus would be justified to men by Tycho Brahe, Johannes Kepler, and Galileo. But that night he was tried and justified to God. And so he was bequeathed the secrets of the universe. And so, we can be certain, on that roof, as Copernicus prepared himself for the moment of death that would never come, he was still, and he was listening for God, because he knew he was a disciple of the truth and the pure light. And because he stayed true to the promise he made God on that rooftop, he heard that day, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of thy Lord."